Let's talk about the big neon sign, shiny building. Holy geez, am I dreaming? Could this even be real? Custom shops, mechanic shops, hot rod shops. Let's talk about those guys, the big shiny operations, versus the little turd ball shop in the corner of nowhere that they ain't even got a sign, and you walk in the front door and you trip over an empty cardboard box just before you kick a whiskey bottle cap across the floor. Let's talk about one versus the other for a sec. So this is something that I know a little something about because I've spent 2/3 of my wasted working career on one side of the table, being the big shop, not a hot rod shop, but the big operation. And then now I am the little turd ball guy, except there's no whiskey caps on the floor because I don't really drink hard liquor anymore. So, there might be the odd beer can you might kick across the floor here. But if I know you're coming, I try to, pick that shit up so it's, it gives a better first impression. So anyways, if you're wondering how many tools it takes just to put 2 little cab supports and 1 patch in the corner of an inner rocker on a 66 C10, well, it takes all of them. So you just bring your toolbox over and just dump the son of a bitch upside down on the floor because you're going to need everything by the time you're done. And I got to clean this stuff up because I got cats, and as soon as they start eyeballing a bunch of dirt on the floor, they're going to want to hunker down over it, and I don't really like that. So that gives us a strenuous working relationship. Anyways, back to where I started. So the misconception, and 9 times out of 10, maybe 7, 8 times out of 10, quite often, it is a misconception that if you go to the big pie in the sky shop, is it a pie in the sky shop? What the hell does that mean, pie in the sky? Anyways, if you go to that shop, that you're going to pay through the nose for whatever you're getting, and you ain't going to get good work. It's going to cost you too much money, and you're not going to be happy in the long run. Whereas, if you go to little Mr. Peckerhead down at the end of the, that's in the, whatever, ghetto industrial area, and he's got a shop big enough to fit 3 corn dogs and a Mazda in, and that's, because you want to get a good deal, and you want to get the best work possible, so you're going to go see that guy because you're going to get the lowest price and the best possible work you're ever going to get because, it's the one guy working, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not always how it works out. In fact, especially nowadays, more often than not, that's not how it's going to work out. And it's not due to any poor situations, bad management, bad reason. There's nothing afoot over it. The biggest difference is, let me pull up a chair for a sec here. Get my coffee, just a minute. The biggest difference that you're going to experience between those shops, and this has been my example anyways, is that, so the big shop that you're going to walk into, with the shiny office and the secretary with the big boobs and the dyed blonde hair, and if I had a secretary, never mind. That shop that you're going to walk into, when you're getting the work done there, so those operations, there's dudes working there. There's usually 7, 8 guys working there, maybe more, maybe a couple less. But when you have that many people working in a big environment like that, and there's 3, 4, 5 cars on the floor, and they're all being worked on at one time, for that shop, as a business, there's a lot of overlap going on there, right? And what I mean by that is you're paying one overhead, you're paying one power bill, one this bill, one that bill, you're paying out your wages, you're paying everything else, but you're collecting from 3 or 4, 5 different little entities in the shop. And so where the overlap comes in is One job might not be making a whole bunch of money, but another job might be making a lot more. And that's going to happen with employees too. You're going to, in every business, you're going to have the dude who's there and you can live without him. You know, he comes in and he works and stuff, but if you kicked his monkey ass out the door, would it really affect the way your business runs? Would it affect your bottom line? Would it affect productivity? No, every business has one or two of those guys that you could live without. They come in handy because every now and then you need another pair of mitts on something, so it's good to have them wieners around, but you could boot their ass out the door just as easily as you could let them in the door. So anyways, what I'm getting at is there is always going to be the couple of guys that make you good money and the couple of the guys that just barely cover their ass. So the difference in what we're discussing is that if you take your car, and let's just discuss body shops because that's what I do, but this would go for mechanic shops, this would go for general automotive shops as well, especially if they're, like I say, they got a bigger pie going that you want a little piece of. So you take your car in there, and if it's a shop that it's not their mainstream work, you know, like they fix cars, fix wrecks and stuff, but they kind of do some of the other stuff on the side. Well, chances are pretty good that you're going to wind up getting a better deal out of those guys in the long run. You're probably going to get the same work that you're going to get from a little shithead like me, but it's going to happen faster, and chances are you're going to pay less money for it. The reason being is that in that shop where there is a whole bunch of shits going on at one time, well, the overlap from the higher paying job, it adds the cushion to your job that isn't really cutting the mustard in there. It's not what they're looking for. It's kind of a filler project and guys are working on it and kind of picking away at it. So a lot of times you're not going to get charged accurately for the amount of work being done to it. At the end of the day, they're going to look at it and go, well, what did I tell you, 10 grand? Well, it was more work than that. So, give me 12 grand and we're good. Whereas if they sat down and went minute for minute that was spent on your vehicle, your bill would probably be a hell of a lot higher. Now, that isn't the case for, a big dedicated restoration shop where it's the size of a church or a shopping mall, and they do got 6 guys in there, and they are working on the restorations and the custom jobs all day, every day. Each one of those jobs, they're itemized to make sure that shop makes money, because that shop, they don't want that overlap because they're not making the big profit on the collision work and on the vehicle repairs. There's not the big profit margin there to buffer the little car. I mean, they're making 85% profit on Bob Johnson's Maserati. A Maserati, ooh, that's being fixed over here. But Jimmy Smith's 68 Chevelle that's getting quarter panels put on it over here, there's like a 2% profit margin on that at the end of the day because it's so labor intensive and it's just a bunch of horse shit they don't really want to do in the first place. Whereas the big shops, like I've seen, I watched a TV show there. I don't think they're on TV anymore. I think it was a Canadian shop. But anyways, in one of the scenes, they had a scale on their like a filler bench, we'll call it. And every time they got some putty or some body filler or whatever, they weighed it. They took their mixing board and they put it on a scale and they zeroed the scale. Then they scooped out their filler, put it on there, and then there was a board on the wall with each car on it. And they wrote down on that board how much filler they used on that car. And I'm not kidding you. And it was probably somebody's job up there. They knew a gallon of filler winds up being this much per ounce. How many ounces did we use on that? 24 ounces times, 1.02%, whatever, to make sure they make a little bit of money on it. So like that's a pretty regimented shop, and you ain't getting no deal out of that shop. But like I say, the bigger shop where it might be 3 or 4 different dudes working on your car over the course of it being in there versus my shop where it's just me sitting in here, I need to get paid for everything that I do, because in my example, when you work for yourself, so you might charge, if you make $20 an hour in a shop working wherever you are in Canada here, it's, you know, $40 an hour or better. I don't know what the hell people make now. A lot more money than I make. See, and that's the point. It doesn't take me very long. Now, I might make a little bit of money on something because I charge more money, but I also got to pay, you know, all the other shit that goes along with it. So I might make a little bit of money on one car because, you know, you charge, you know, a reasonable labor rate anyways, but it doesn't take very long to lose that. I mean, I could make good money on, I'm staring at a Firebird. I could be making good money on that Firebird. I can put that thing in the booth and I can paint it, and I got a cross flow booth. Now I could be painting that car and I could be clearing it, and this has happened to me. And somebody could walk in wearing, I don't even know what, cologne. I don't know what the case was, but this happened to me on a Chevelle. My girlfriend at the time walked in, and I had just put the last coat of clear down on this Chevelle, as in I was still in the booth. And I was walking around the car looking at it, and as I was looking at it in the light, boop, 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 it was starting to fisheye. As I was looking at it, I could see them coming, especially on the flats, on the hood and on the roof. Boop, boop, they're coming in, and I'm looking at it, and it's happening before my very eyeballs. And I'm just in there going, what the hell is going on? And then there's a little tap on the glass, and I see her looking in the window. And I looked at the car, and I looked at her, and I was just like, holy Christ, get out of here. I don't know what you got on, but get out of here, because whatever's going on, it's pulling it through the filters, pulling it across that vehicle, and across that liquid clear, and it's contaminating it through the air source. It's causing it to fisheye. There was a lot of time involved to fix that. I had to wait for a certain window, then I had to mix up some more clear, then I went and I brushed it, a little dab will do ya, in all the fish eyes all over that car. Then I wet sanded that whole car and I had to re-clear it. Oh, I had to re-clear something. Doesn't sound that bad. But when there's probably a solid day and a half of labor involved, plus the clear, plus everything else, plus your mental state while you're doing it, you just lost any profit that you just made on that car. Now you just work for $9 an hour, which doesn't pay for everything that you got to pay for. So it's really easy to step backwards in a little scenario like this. But in the bigger scenario where there's more people in there, well, a little bit of overlap helps cushion that. Didn't do so good on that one, but holy shit, we done good on that one. So at the end of the month, when all the numbers add up, you still done good. Instead of scraping by, you done good. So that's one of the reasons. You know, the chances are pretty good you're going to get a better shot out of the bigger shop on account of, like I just said, the overlap, the profit margin from one to the other. Sometimes you might not. I'm not saying that's the rule. Sometimes you might wind up with a shop that has the mentality that they don't want to do the job anyways, so charge them. Because if that piece of shit is taking up floor space in here, well, I'm getting paid for that floor space. So there is that instance as well. But like I'm saying, by and large, a lot of times, and so what makes me think of doing this video and talking about this is I've had people, like I've looked at stuff in the past to work on and wound up not doing it. Generally, if I wind up not doing something, it's just because, I mean, you want to get your car done, right? If you're the guy looking to get some work done and you come talk to me, well, you want to get it done, right? That's what you don't want to wait 4 years. Like, let's get after it. Let's get shit happening here. Well, I can't always get shit happening because I got other shit that's happening. So I've lost lots of work over the years just because I couldn't get at it. Anyways, point I'm making is I have talked to people after the fact that I've looked at them, and to just throw a number out there, I might have told them, you know, we're going to be anywhere between $15,000 to $18,000 to do, you know, the work we're talking about on your car. I'm not going to get into the work that gets you. Just whatever. That might have been what I told them. All right, just get off me, would you? Like, geez, what's the matter with you? Jesus. So, anyways, tell him that, and then 3 months later, well, there's his Mustang sitting there, and it's got nice shiny silver paint on it. I got no hard feelings. I got nothing, but I'm curious about stuff. So, you know, cool, you got your car done. Where'd you get it done? Oh, I got it done at, Whatever. Carl's Collision downtown did it up for me. Old Carl got the boys after it and they got her done for me. Oh, cool, nice. Did you happy with the job? You got a good job out of it? Oh shit, yeah, they did all this. I gave them the parts, they did the parts, they welded this, they body worked that, they jammed it, they painted the whole car and stuff, cost me $9,000. Holy shit, really? Good for you. You know, I mean, that's half, 2/3 of what I thought it would probably take to do the job. And as long as you're happy with the job, well, cool, good for you. Why did it cost that little? Well, I just will guarantee you that old Carl's Collision, he probably doesn't know how much time they spent on that car. And a lot of the dudes that did it, if they do collision work and they're working on Nissans and Toyotas and Buick Enclaves and shit all day long, a lot of those guys, every now and then, they kind of like to spend a few hours on a 71 Mustang, 68 Mustang, 59 Cougar, 58 stinking Buick pickup truck, you know, whatever. They kind of, to get a break from the new shit with all the metric hardware, and then you can't get your hand in, and you got to sore back from leaning over it, and the son of a bitch who designed this, they'd rather go back there and work on something that they can take a little more pride in. You know, straightening out a door on a goddamn whatever, straighten out a door on a stinking some of my bitch old Oldsmobile 442 or whatever, you know, they'll put a little more effort into that. And they're not worried about getting paid, you know, making $1 million on it, because they're just kind of happy to be doing something different. So you get a few, you know, a couple of that going, and you get a nice finished product out of the thing. Instead of me that doesn't like doing this in the first place anymore, because I'm tired of all this shit. Probably shouldn't have said that, should I? Well, there it is. So, anyway, I guess that's, I don't know. You know, maybe I should script these a little bit or something, because, you know, I just kind of turn the camera on and I get an idea and I kind of just start rambling. And I was kind of rambling. And I kind of had a few things that I wanted to say, and I don't really know if I said them all or not, but, I don't know. Anyways, like I said, I thought I'd do a video on how sometimes, you know, you might get a square shake at a big shop versus a little peckerhead like me. Don't 100% of the time freak out and steer away from it, because it could happen. There's a couple of shops in the city that I'm right outside of here that they do both. They do old stuff. There's a dude in town there that he's a little collision shop, and right now he's got, shit, I don't know what year it is, the body style, I'm going to say 63 maybe, 64, Cadillac two-door hardtop sitting out front of his shop that's black, and it's nice. Like, I was in town yesterday and drove by and saw it sitting there, and as I'm driving by, I has a gander out the window, and as I'm going by, I can see down the side of it, and that's a big car, and it had a really nice reflection all the way down the side. Like, they done nice work on it. And sitting right beside that is like a 2021 GMC Yukon or whatever the hell it is sitting there that they put a front end on. So it can happen. So yeah, I guess that's the rambling for today. I was going to do a video here on putting these floor braces in, and actually I did do a video on some of it, but I deleted it because that really pissed me off, and there was a lot of language involved because it's a Taiwanese piece of shit of a part, and holy hell. So I didn't put it up there because I'd probably get struck by lightning if I would have published that. So anyways, there's my take on big versus little, biggie smalls.